Good morning, everybody. This is Max Farrell. This is DexFxMarkets.com, and this is the early beginning of the webinar. And I needed to do this because I'm going to share my page here. Give me 1 second as I get things started. Here we go. Now, I'm using my demo account again because we just released the processes here for OTM and ATM signals firing off. And we went OTM and ATM all at the same time this morning on the USD CAD. And I got in for a pretty damn good price. So we're about 11 pips up. We got about 2 minutes left. I don't see that being too much of a problem. It did have some up and downs for a few moments, but we did pretty good on this process. I did use my demo account. Probably should have been using live since I said I was going to go live on Sunday. And I got distracted with building out this little system. And I'll tell you in the webinar what this is and what we have committed to, which is pretty cool. We've committed to the OTM ATM system. But I just wanted to quickly show you the USD CAD doing its thing, sitting at 15 pips up, 16 pips up. Definitely not a problem. We're talking about 15 contracts, easily enough to be able to get in. Yes, this is on the demo, but I wanted to show what meat looked like when you get them on the solution here. Our Audi USD did hit ATM, but I did not get to it fast enough. I was 8 minutes late. Getting at that ATM signal that came over, and I'll explain more inside the webinar once we hit 11 o'clock. But I wanted to welcome everybody. Got Paul letting you come out to talk. In their store.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, buddy. Thomas Zimmer. I hate to say this to you on the webinar. But you keep using the sign up form to sign in. You're signing up. You keep signing up for a free membership every time that you sign up to that process. Don't use the sign up form to sign in. You go to the login menu button to log in. So just if you have any problems, go ahead and hit the chat button inside to ask your questions. All right. So the top of the hour, we'll get started here. We're going to be going over some trading. This morning, we're going to be going over the process of the TNT trades, as well as a little bit of a follow-up of what happened yesterday with the bot, which was awesome, and what we attached to the system yesterday. 32, 34 with no problem. We got 42 seconds left. I'm highlighting this process right now. Not too shabby. And last 30 seconds, they take everything off. All of the contracts from the market makers disappear, and they just stay easily at that number. Now, it was close for a little bit. It got down to 32.18, which was out of the money. And that's where we picked up some of the other contracts, which were pretty powerful. But, yep, winner, chicken dinner, and a huge payday on this. If we were in live, we were in that solution of being live, what would we have made from this solution? Easily enough. It doesn't take much to get to the process of getting an OTM, but at $55, of course, it was $45 profit times 15, about 670 bucks made at that level, and that's one trade. And how much was I able to get into for that? You know, about the same amount that I would get if I traded at the regular rates at like 25 per contract, about $800. So it's almost a 1-to-1, really low at like 1-to-1 and 0.25 risk to reward ratio. So not too bad on that. When it went OTM, I was really able to get them down. I think I got them for 40 something bucks in there, but I had some in there that were at 30, and I had some that were at 40, because when I first got there, the price was still hovering right around $60 risk, so it wasn't too bad. So I got it, that was a mixed batch. So, and here's why. When the new tab that's on board under the daily signals, we got OTM, which has been up there for about a week, and ATM. Okay, and now I got to adjust this. Okay, please bear with me. I have to adjust this because the open price for the ATMs hit 32.30 and it's supposed to be 32.20. So this was a win by 12 points. and the auto USD was was 7,100. Was that what it was? Auto USD 7,120. Okay, on the sell. So this would have won as well because it's 7,113. So this would have been a win as well. I have to adjust these with the calculation. So we had the firing happen, which was great, but the loss win ratio didn't happen properly. So I had to deal with that here in just a moment after the webinar. But what is the OTM ATM signals? We have this one that fired off in one. We finally had a win on this. Now listen, all of these except for the USD CAD right here, this was sitting at like 92%, 90 something percent. No, we weren't anything above 96%. I'll get into. USD CAD was sitting at 96% above on both of them. So this is a one win, one loss. The others I would have never gotten into. Okay, but these are losses that are on the platform. Okay, so I'm not too worried about it. I still got to work on the calculation for that process down there too. But as you see, the daily signals. Now, Paul, you had some stuff happening this morning at the 7 o'clock hour. We had a lot of news on board this morning.
Yeah, I managed to, I didn't manage to get in, but I did a choke up in the end after looking at it and seeing that nothing really was going to hit me before 3 o'clock, obviously. But I won on a choke. Yeah,
cool. And if we look at Paul's success for the day, these are the choke ups. Here's the 13th right here. So a nice easy win. This is from the other day on the 7th. Looks like he hasn't been back on the dailies for a couple of days, and I don't blame you. There is a process of information that we go through all the time. Let Brian talk to here. That when we start to look at data and information, we sometimes forget how powerful our data is, okay? And how powerful, sorry, let me kill this web page. There we go. We sometimes forget how powerful the data is. And then we become very reliant on that data when it comes time to make decisions. And then there might be times that we try to find too much data, right? So I was asked a little while ago about, the dollar index, and should we use that as an indicator for the process? And the answer is you could, but do you really need to? Do you really need to have that concept? Is too much analytical value too much? Analysis paralysis kind of mentality. And I have to kind of lean back on the haunches a little bit, right? Because if you're going to check the dollar index to see how well the dollar's doing, then you got to sort of put it to, is then the Euro USD, if the dollar's doing well, is the Euro USD going to be going down? And the question really, kind of answers itself, is how much is too much information? How many things can we put on? Should I then make the Euro index page? Should I, and then we could check correlation between the two and, what one does what and when and how. I think right now we have enough information and enough process on the sites and the systems to last us a millennia, right? There's so many things that we can use on the site right now, this second. I don't think we need too much more information out there because we have daily signals, we have spreads, we have the TNT systems. So these are pretty powerful. All right, let's get right into it. And I want to explain this. Let me get up a new share here, and I'm going to do a white page.
Hey, Max, this is Chris.
Yeah.
Are you recording?
Of course I am. Yep. See, recording. We are recording. I should put like a red dot somewhere. You guys can see them up. All right. But the TNT strategy it stands for trend, negate, trade. Okay. And when I made this system, we made it in two processes. One is a 1 hour trade allotment. This is what we're looking for, is a 1 hour trade. And then we're doing a 2 hour trade. Okay. On the 1 hour trade, we're using a 5-minute chart. And we're looking for things. When I say a 1 hour trade, it's within the hour that it starts. Okay. On this, when can the signals fire for on the TNT chart, which I'll show you here in a second. They can fire on the hour every hour. But do they fire? And the answer is no, they don't. They don't fire every hour of the hour. They only fire when it hits the mentality of if trading is time and price, and the market's going up between a particular time, we look at a top and bottom, a high and a low. And if it emerges past the top, we call this a buy, okay? And as it does this, incrementally, if it starts to pull back, then between this time and this time, this is considered a low. So even though that the trend is still heading up incrementally, looking at this high and this low, it emerges past, you see how this works? So now you would get an arrow that would be up here, but this one would have an arrow that would be down here, that would be pointing down. And then this one would have an arrow that's pointing up. And so the idea is to get to spot the trend. Here's a higher high, and then follow the arrow that goes with the trend again within this 5-minute time frame, but also on a 1-hour trade. And so what that means is that if this signal fires off, say at 11 a.m., okay, and you're getting into it, it's about 11:05 at the moment, right? 11:07, then I should be good for a 12 noon trade, right? An expiry on Nadex. You can also use this as a process to get into short-term trades on Forex. Now, what would you trade on Nadex at the 12 o'clocks? Well, you could trade spreads. You could trade binaries. I probably wouldn't trade brackets just yet, even though that we could talk about that. But again, that's something pretty new on Nadex, and I don't want to really go in too much detail on it. But if you take the same concept that we just did in 5 minutes and put it on a 15-minute chart, now the increments change just a little bit, not by just 3, but by the amount of timing in between. So now we go from so on this, you would have a 12 bar or an 8 bar, because every bar is 5 minutes on the 5-minute side. You would wait about 10 bars, maybe 12 bars, depending on what time it was, right? So if the arrow came out at 11 o'clock, 12 bars later would be 12 o'clock, right? So on the 15-minute chart, you only have about a 2-hour statement you want to be on, of course. So you're only going to wait about 8 bars. Because remember, every bar is what? 15 minutes. So 4 bars equals an hour. So 2 hours for 8 bars, right? And it's the same concept. You wait for pullback and negation until you get to something that goes with the trend, and you set your statement at a particular price, right? And you use structure. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But that's just the overview here. So let's get into doing some of these and looking at them. Now, when does let me clear this all out. So the 5-minute trades, or the 5-minute chart, okay, the 1-hour trade fires on the hour, every 1 hour. When does the 2-hour fire? On the 15-minute chart. Well, this fires on every 2 hours on the odd hour. Make sense? So 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on and so on and so on. So theoretically, if you came in at 11 o'clock, hence why the webinar's here, you could go through the entire system looking for a trade, right? And if you came on the odd hour, you could look at that. Now, if you came in at 11 o'clock, you could look at to see if there was a trade that happens here or here. And if you came at 12 o'clock, you could possibly only look here. You could still probably use information from the 2-hour to see, but I would probably primarily stay with a signal firing off at that time. You have much better opportunities at that level. So let's go have a look. New share. Come on. New share. Boop, screen. All right. So when we get to the TNT charts, I'm just going to, because it's 11 o'clock, I'm just going to hit it right off the bat. We're just going to go straight here at Auto USD. And what we're looking for, see, we have the downtrend, and we're going to go through this pretty quickly. We got a downtrend. If I can get my pen tool operating properly. Down, down, down. This one has a little bit of an area gap there, but I'm still seeing some pretty good levels heading down. But we sort of break it and match it over to here. I'm a little worried about this area, and this, even though this arrow goes with the downtrend and we have negation here, it sort of broke structure. See this? Broke structure. If I were to try to go with structure right now, where would I place, what statement would I be looking for? I would try to come up to structure up to here, and that's 71.18 in that area. I would be looking for a 1 hour trade. So let me move some of my stuff out of the way here. So if I head over to Nadex and I'm looking at the Audi USD and I'm looking for the next hour, I'm looking for the 12 o'clock hour. I'm looking at 71.18. There it is. It does have money on it. But remember, I'm looking for perfection. I'm not looking for just to get into a trade. And what are the cons against this particular trade? Well, they're sitting right here. I see a support and resistance area right here. I see a flattening moving average. I see a pull over the moving average heading up. This could be a reversal at this point. And even though this possibly still could win, it has a lower rate of success than it does with a matching trend. Okay, so this is a no-no. We're not going to get into this trade. Clear out. Let's go to the next one. Audi JPY. Same thing. Comes down, goes back up again, but I'm not seeing anything good. You're a great bit pound. Once you start to really see it, you can filter these pretty quickly. We had a big giant movement, some consolidation, maybe even a flag situation, but I'm not really looking for things. As soon as it starts to cross the moving average here, even though that it could be considered negation at that point, I'm not seeing anything decent. Now, we got something pretty good. Okay. Euro JPY sitting at 125.13 when it came out, 125.13. We could use the 125.17 as structure for a sell. We're looking at the 12. God, what was that again? 125.17. Let's see if there's anything on it. 25.19's there, sitting at $22. Place order. Now, I made a boo-boo. I should have done that at market value. Amend order. Back. Okay, there it is. All right, it went in. So into a trade. Now, how would I trade this if I was trading spreads? Simple as well. I'm going to do a call spread. Let's do call spread Euro JPY. We're looking for 12. We're looking for something that's close to the ceiling because we're coming down for a sell at the 125.18. Let's see here. Is that this one? Yeah, this would be it. But now remember, it's got to drop down now 2 more pips. So I'll place order there. Go there. That's how we traded on the spreads. Now I wouldn't, because if it goes up to a certain period, I can only lose $9, right? But if it does drop now over the next 44 minutes and I get some good numbers on it, I could win potentially some pretty good money, right? Do you agree with that, Thor? Is that a pretty good?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would have taken that trade.
Yeah, easy, right? So that's how fast it moves. Now, how would we trade on this on a Forex process? Simple as well. I'm looking for structure plus some, right? So if I set a stop loss, here's a 125.17. I'm looking at 125. I'd say right around in this area could be something that could push something back at a resistance area, 125.24. So I'm really only sitting at like a 14 or 15 point stop loss. So 125.24. And what I'm going to do is come into here. I'm going to go. This is my personal VPS. I'm going to chart a window. I'm going to new order. Real simple. I'm going to do 0.02 micro lot and do sell. Hit OK. Now that's going to put my, normally I could put a stop loss on, but you're going to have to figure that stuff out. What I'm going to do now is just drag this up 125. I'm going to put it right right up beyond structure, right about there. Except, let's try that again. Why didn't it sit? Right beyond structure, 127. And now what I'm going to do is go to the other end. So since I'm sitting at about 16, 17 pips, I want to drop down. So just below, now because 125 is a pretty strong structure, I want to hit my number, right? So I'll probably just come about 1 or 2 pips up from that. I could lower my stop loss down to kind of meet that if it does blow that out, I can keep it even to an R1 to 1 value. But I'm going to keep it at this. I'm going to pull it back up, and I might be a little bit strong on the loss factor here, but I also know that the 125.00 is pretty strong. Now we could do all kinds of things at this point. We could set a trailing stop loss when certain things happen. We could do all this stuff. So this is really more about a manual trade at this point, but giving me some room for market expansion by using structure as my stop loss. And even though that I'm sitting probably at a, what is this here? About 8, so maybe a 1 to 2 instead of a 2 to 1. And again, we can always lower that down to do whatever. Or if you want to get really ballsy, just go to a true 2 to 2 or 1 to 2, right? Or 1 to 1. And you could do so by jumping back on the 15-minute chart to look at where structure really is. You see this? So we know that if it starts to pull back down around this area, we're going to hit our numbers down here. We're going to drop below the 125 mark and be able to get into there. All right. So 1 trade on so far, and we're only halfway through. So the Euro USD, again, pretty powerful, but really elongated, really far into this trade here. But again, could we just simply use structure? I probably see how we've come down and we've bounced off this area back up again. We haven't broken structure yet, and we've bounced off this area. And what are we coming down to? 1286. This could be a pretty good opportunity for an ATM sitting at 1290 right in that area. Okay, so let's go over and have a look at that Euro USD. But because we're on the Euro already, we're pretty heavy into the Euro. And look, we're already in making money. You scalpers are probably salivating right now. We've already met the premium too on the spread on the spread, the bid-ask spread on the spread, and we're already into making money right now. You can set a take profit at that too, by the way, by using the working order to do so. Okay, and you just have to calculate how much money you want to make at that point. If you risk $9, go to make $9. Every point is a dollar. Okay, so if you need this price to drop, you need to go to 0.01 to make that $9, right? Because, well, in this one it'd be 0.02, but after fees and all that stuff, there it is, right? And you place order. So if my take profit, this is sort of like a take profit mentality, gets down to, or the market price gets down to 125.09, this is going to fill and it's going to close me out. Okay, so that's something you could do. Now, I've only done 1 contract. Sometimes Thor will do 2 contracts in the process and only take 1 off at that take profit, right? And that's the skim off, skim scalp, I guess we could call it. Sounds pretty weird, but still. All right, at this point, I don't know if there's any reason to go down too much further. Does anybody have any questions as we scan down some of the rest of the trades here? I guess we could come back to that. And again, having too much on, I don't want to show you like every single trade you could possibly get in, because you could, but you could go down and skim and I believe in striking while the iron's hot. And again, we're trading on a webinar. Okay, it's hard enough to trade just by yourself with no distraction, right? You got Facebook up. I got 50 million tabs up. You know, I'm talking to all you guys. I'm recording. You know, all this stuff, watching what I say, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to keep skimming down. The Euro USD looks good, but because I'm already into a Euro, I'm going to see if there's anything else I can get into. Great Britain Pound. Again, we've pushed past. I don't see anything in correlation to what, you know, our rule is for the TNT. So boom, off of that. Great Britain Pound USD. Now, with all the news that happened with the Great Britain Pound today, you can kind of see huge. We're probably going to get back into the motion of it doing something that it needs to do. The USD CAD had some big push too, as you can kind of see. This is why we went OTM on our Nadex signals this morning. was that news and everything else that came out. But then we started to right itself. It'll probably right itself over the day and get back up to where it's supposed to be. USD CHF. Nothing really clear here that I want to get into. We have some big movement. And yes, we could come back down the structure. Tiny beginnings of a good trend here happening. And this does meet all the requirements. If you look at it, USD CHF, we've created, let's see here, if we come back down to structure, because we wouldn't come to ATM at 107.75, this would probably make for a pretty good OTM process. But what I've seen this happen before, when you get these big movements away from the moving average and they come back to it, of course, is that it's going to come back to it again here at 106.68 area, right? Or even the support area. So I would probably use that 0065 on the buy. So let's jump over to here, do a Forex binary, USD CHF on the 12, 0065, 0066. It does have some money on, but not enough. Not enough for me to get. I'm looking for 25 bucks and above, even though I got in for this one for 22. Stupid, but I'm trying to stay above that $25, and I probably should have paid attention to that.
Hey, you're making money. Don't complain.
Yeah, I am. It is making money, and it is 10 pips in, and we only got 36 minutes left, and it's a strong pair, and it's after news. All these great reasons, right? But we're making some money. USD 66, there's the 87. So I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably jump down to 62. You could do a working order on it, but again, I'm looking for, at the time to get in, I want money on my trade, right? There's always a reason. Why is there a reason why, the dailies will fill 30% of the time? And because the market has to fail back a little bit, has to negate some, right? And that's what we're looking for, that perfect negation. And I want to get it at that point that it's just finished negating and it's starting to move in its direction. Well, that's why the up arrow. That's the strongest time to get in. Okay, especially like with the Euro JPY in the fall position. So let's avoid USD CHF. There's not even good structure for me to get into for it to follow in this process for Forex. If I get in, I could drop back down to this point. And I'm not looking to lose money in this factor. I'm looking to stay with a winning run. Make sense?
Hey, Max.
Yeah.
Did a little practice on the on the spreads.
Mm-hmm.
So I was successful last night just by using the charts. I used the charts. I looked at the charts first,
right,
and then I went to the signals. I said,
Mm-hmm.
here's some good deals. At any rate, on that USDC, the CHF,
right,
at the 9 o'clock, what I was taking a look at it, and why I thought, well, how about a dollar chart? Is that the dollar was really cranking at that point. You wonder, well, how much does the dollar have left in this particular time period? And so I just used that because just the math says that the CHF in general will follow the dollar. I'm just letting you know what my thinking was.
right.
I'm not saying that it's correct.
Right.
I'm just saying that's what I was taking a look at.
I always say this, and Chris, and it's not about one person being right or another wrong, is that you could trade with the clock on the wall. Your system, your flow, whatever you're trading with, do so, but do so consistently. The idea of using the dollar is a viable process to correlate the dollar and the USD CHF because it does follow to a degree. But is it perfect? No, nothing's going to be perfect. The thinking behind using an index to define that flow is that the Euro USD will sometimes throw you off just as much as anything else, because you'll watch the correlation between the Euro index and the USD index, and they'll both be going in the same damn direction. And you're like, well, what happens there? Well, that's consolidation, right? And so you have to kind of know that. So yes, you could use it. You could use it as a viable piece of information, but you could also use Fibonacci, pitchforks, trend evaluation of immersion. You could use 50 other different things. So what I'm trying to do is allow, this is how many processes do we have here in front of us? Can anybody tell me? There's a support and resistance, there's a moving average, and then there's these funky arrows, right? And all these funky arrows are just time-based immersion information. It's all still about one thing, price action. That's
and
it.
The human element.
The human element, right? And that's what price action is, Paul, right? Is the human element. But it's also about corporate structure, manipulating market, and all that other nonsense. But let's take all that out. Let's just deal with what's in front of us. There's no speculation. There's no correlation. There's no, does this one work with that one? Does that happen to here? We're following a simple flow that has a success rate. Trading with the clock on the wall. This is the theory that I came up with a very long time ago. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, when we were discussing this, right? 3 o'clock every single day. You go to the internet, you go to the Euro USD, and you put a buy on, no matter what price it's at. Guess what? This has a success rate, and that success rate uses a simple flow factor, which is I show up at 3 o'clock, not 3:01, not 3:02. I don't trade the USD CHF. I trade the Euro USD, and I put it on for a buy. And every single day, if I do that Sunday through Friday, whatever time, 3 o'clock, I'm going to have either a success or a fail rate. Now, if that success rate is above your take profit margin and you make money, guess what? That's a successful system. And if you do that 3 or 4 months in a row, then that's a consistent system. Then you just simply add volume. This is what we basically committed here. Our TNT strategy is the clock on the wall. Could you add other variables? Yes, but now it's no longer TNT. You see, now it's TNTD or TNTED, whatever it would be. So yes, you could add all these other, but they would commit to yourself to be a distraction or an add-on, unless you added it in variantly on every single thing you've done. This is where all those other companies, all these other trading networks that add in so many things. Do you realize that everything that we have follows one basic principle? That's from our bot. That's from everything. It's time and price. That's it. These are the two things that everything that we do follow. Time moves over. Price moves up. We grab a high or low. It immerses past the top. This is a buy. It's that simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The simplicity possible. So I hope that I know what you were trying to say and what you were trying to think and what you're trying to add in, Chris, and I really do appreciate it. But as far as like the dollar index and that solution, we have to minimize how many things that we're touching. The adding of success is sitting at 80%. I'm doing very well at this level of trading because I'm only keeping it to a handful of variables. Make sense?
Yep. Thanks, Max.
You're welcome. All right. So we just basically went through all the pairs. It's sitting about 11:30, so we're getting a little bit past my prime on the 1 hour trades. I could theoretically look at some of the. Let me try to get this off here. Let's look at the USDCH or USD JPY. And here's another one. Big news. Back to margin. Back to moving average. Again, I would have stayed with structure on this one because we did have so much of a move here. When you get 3 or 4 green hours in a row or green candles in a row, and then you get an up signal from that point, and we're sort of hovering at that same level. You see what this is creating? Can anybody tell me what this is creating?
It's creating a ceiling. It's a resistance.
Mm-hmm. Created a ceiling, resistance. There's and you're absolutely right. But this is another format of trading, right? Can anybody see it yet?
Oh, it's a pennant.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's a flag. So a pennant is like this, right?
Yeah.
Because it has an equal top to a ceiling. But a flag kind of looks like this, right? Has a depreciating end. One end straight and the other end starts to go down at an angle, right? Or if a pennant has a little slight angle, but it's not as traverses with a flag, right? And it usually collapses down to an area to where it does one of two things. It continues on and creates what we call the continuing flag. So if it's heading up from this position, this is what they call a bull continuation, right? Continues on. But if it rejects, then this is a reversal. So this is a bull reversal. So it would be considered a bull reversal. Why? Because it reverses into a bear status. Now, 90% of the times, the bull, the pole itself is about 75% of where the market will go to in the return before it does something else, right? And that's either heads back up or really takes a plummet, right? So that's the margin I would normally shoot for if I was doing a take profit. If it pushed past and came down, I'd put a take profit here. And if this was say 10 pips, I would do about 7 pips up. I would take a take profit. 7 pips down, 7 pips up. Make sense? Hello, everyone. For negation to be confirmed, does the price have to cross the 50 EMA? No, not at all. That's a great question. Does it have to be? Does negation have to cross the 50 EMA? And the answer is no. As you can kind of see here in this, let me go back to that. Let's see here. Boom, Euro JPY, the one that we're in. Okay. As you can kind of see, it does do a little bit of cross negation here, but it doesn't close cross, right? Touches, touches, touches. This kind of has a beat of it's still there, right? But we're not going to make any decisions on an up hour with a downward facing trend. But we get to here, look what happens, right? Got a nice little feel here, boom, and then we're on this on a 5 minute, so it's 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. Easily run. We came at the money, we won this, okay? But the negation did pull above. It doesn't always pull above. Well, I'm showing a bad example right now, but it does come back to the touch. There's a touch there again. Let's go back and have a look, see if we can find a negation. See, here's a negation that doesn't, right? So we push in. We've confirmed that we're above the trend. We're above the trend now. We're heading into a new trend. There's some negation. Boom, with this big win. Negation doesn't pull back to it, right? And then nothing happens to that point. See, heading down. Yeah, so there's a great question to ask. It can touch and it cannot touch. So I hope that answered your question. How well are we doing on our trades? Oh, look at that. By the way, you know this is live, right? Well, this isn't live money because I'm not crazy, you know, but I'm recording the hell out of this. We're going to use the hell out of this all day long. But this is the first. Now, this isn't the first one. I think I've traded a few times in front of you guys with this process. But you see how easy was that, right? How easy was that to come in 1, 2, 3, 4 step process, and we're running a little bit behind. If you would have done, we probably got even better numbers if we would hit right at the top of the hour, right? Okay, why this trade's hanging on here? I want to share something with you. We had talked earlier about the ATM OTM system on the daily signals. Remember, the daily signals follow the same platform as everything else. We look for a time, a high, a low, it emerges past. Then we use the bottom number as the open price on the system, right? So if we call out for the daily at 11 a.m. expiry and the price goes up, we use that lower price. If the price comes back down and comes close to that, we have a working order on, right, for like 25 bucks profit. If it gets filled, that's about 30% of the time, right? Sometimes it goes a little bit lower, right? So, and then may go off. So this is usually about 10 pips. When it gets into that 10 pip area, right, we call this the ATM zone. So that means that if this line here represents the open price, when the market has gone way up, you know, on a daily, you got about a 40 pip hit here, you know, could be 40 pips, could be 20 pips, could be 60, you know, depends on the market and how much influx it's have. Once it pushes past that time and then comes back, where does it come into before it fills? That's different on every pair. So what I've done is that I've created a zone around this area. And what we call this zone is the OTM, ATM, ITM. Oh my, right? So as soon as you come, because already it's in what we refer to as ITM, in the money, right? And so as the price comes in, this amount from here to here is 10 pips. And then below is 10 pips. And what I do is that if the price closes below this process or even drops down and crosses it, even for a second, in the ATM system, it's going to fire off an ATM signal, okay, immediately. It's not going to wait for the first 15 minutes. It's going to fire it off immediately. And when it does so, it's going to say the price of the daily is at the money right now. And then you run over, you look at the success rate of that. And if it's sitting at 96 and above, right, I'm going to tell you this, now it's going to fire off on all of them. So it's not even going to look at if it's 96 and above. So it's just going to fire off on all of them. Okay. So you can take, if you want to do 94%, you think, hey, today's the day that the Great Britain pound is going to finally come through for me, then you can go ahead and do that, right? Or it's sitting at like 92% right now. So you can go ahead and do that. But for me, I'm going to stay with stuff that's 96 and above. Okay. Yes, I'm going to lose some. I'll probably lose 4%, but I'm going to win a lot more than I'm going to lose. And so if once it hits that, it's going to fire off an ATM signal. Now, if it happens to keep going and crosses over the open price, then it's going to fire an OTM signal. And it's going to say, hey, look, this thing's out of the money. Why is that so important? Well, because we know that we can probably get into a trade for about 25 bucks on a regular, like when it comes down and hits that ATM, we'll probably kind of get right around in this area, $25 to $30 profit margin. But once it gets below, immediately it goes to like $40, $50, then 60, and the lower it goes all the way down to this area at this 10 pips, you're probably even now looking at like $30 risk, $20 risk. And on the opposite end of this is the division of 100, right? So there's $60 profit, $50 profit. I'm sorry, $60 risk. And then all the way down to $80 profit, right? So this is 60, so this would be risk 50. I think I went the wrong way. Either way, you get what I'm saying. So once it does get down to this area, the further it goes now, this is where you got to get suspect, right? You're like, it may be losing. It gets to like 12, 13, 14 pips, and you only got like a couple minutes left. It's probably not good to get into a trade from that point, right? Sometimes they fire off. It's like, at 11 o'clock signal, it's 10:57. You're probably not at a point where you're going to rebound. So I'd probably stay out, even if it has a good success rate. Make sense? Do you think it's still safe to enter an OTM signal if there is, say, 1 or 2 minutes? I just asked that. I just answered that as you were stating. The answer is no. If I got like 1 minute left, that's a Hail Mary. Okay. I'm looking for OTM ATMs about 15, 20 minutes before the expiry, an hour before the expiry, like the one that we did earlier with USD CAD. Let me go over here, hit new share, go to here. Let me see if I could scroll to every tab I own. I'll tell you when they came out. So here's good fundamental. And again, don't look at the loss here. This actually didn't lose this one. It fired off at 9:44. Okay, the ATM fired off at 9:44. I went and looked. I hit OTM. It hit OTM at 10:11. Okay, so it took 20 minutes for it to hit OTM. So I was able to get in quickly, and I got a good price. I got like $30-something profit margin, $35 profit margin, $34 profit margin sitting at this, and I bought, I think it was like 5 contracts at a time. Okay, and then hit OTM, and I went in for the kill because it was sitting at like $60 or whatever it was per each one, and I bought 10 contracts. So I had total 15 contracts with an average of about $55 profit per contract. So not too shabby, but that was all because I had the information sitting here. Now, before, you would have to go in and you would have to sit and monitor, all the trades, all the processes. Now I'm going to have them in this fashion. This is pretty badass. Even though you're looking at this going, all these are losses. No, they're not really, because I would have only gotten into this one and this one. And so far, sitting at 50%, I made much more money on this one than I lost on this one. I lost because I was getting in for like $12 per trade at the USD CAD on this one, but I made 45 on this. So heavy R factor there. Now the ATM is going to be great because yes, it will fire off ATM signals on losses, just like it'll fire off OTM signals on losses, right? So you have to be careful. You have to look at the success rate, look at the chart, but use this as a warning signal. Get right to your computer then, get right to that process. Now, I want to find a way that we can deliver these signals to you via a Twitter announcement or some sort of announcement. I'm trying my best to find a good, reliable CMS system or SMS system to be able to do that. That may cost, that may be an extra fee. I'm not sure, because it does cost a lot of money to do that part of the process, but we will be looking at that over the next couple of weeks. Okay, we're sitting still pretty good on our trades. How are we doing on our Forex side of it? Sitting pretty good. We're only sitting at 37 cents, but we only got two micro contracts on. This account has $8,000 in it. I could have easily done 8 at that point, and we'd be sitting about $2 something right now. As this starts to commit to past the structure right here, I might move down a little bit closer, right? I might move down to this little area here because this is a touch and this is sort of a touch right here. And then this is a touch, you see? So I can visually see where my structure is already. Make sense? So once it starts to commit to heading down towards the way, I may close out the gap a little bit in case it does reverse. And then it really wasn't a prominent trade that was going to hit my direction. I'll go to break even, and I may even move if I scroll back some here, I might even look as we get closer, if it starts to really follow, like if it starts to bounce out and it goes down below this area, I might move my take profit down even further structure and move this to past the break even into some money, right? And then hold this. I'll monitor this trade and move it. I never want to do something too automatic in a Forex trade, but now, there's even a point now where it's starting to commit to that, but it's creating a double bottom right here. So in the next 20 minutes, we're going to know, like if this starts to close out and have more of a structure down the bottom, which starts to come back down in around this area, then I'm probably going to start moving my stop loss down a little bit further to start meeting and securing some of this profit and securing or protecting my money a little bit from that point. Do you think it's still safe? It seems the busy signal alert doesn't sound off all the time. Any suggestion? I'm not sure, John. I think if you have a Chrome package, it should be firing off all the time. If it doesn't, then you have to go look. Sometimes, because you have to have the page open for the signal to fire off. But if you have like a lot of tabs like I do, if you're not on the page, like if you're off the page here and you go back to the page, it may fire late. You may hear the tone. And this is what sucks about the system. I want to try to find a better alert process for the daily signals. And we used to have one with Twitter alerts and stuff like that. But again, they were very unreliable. And when they failed, everybody who relied on them was pissed at me. So I have to find something better. And I promise you, I will find something better to give us better alerts from this solution. Okay.
Hey, Max.
Yes.
Just to let you know, I was in that USD or the Canadian USD, and I had all the information in front of me as far as when it started tanking, if you will, and I just didn't use it. In the nuclear world, we call it habit strength. So I wasn't by practicing, I just didn't think about saying, hey, why don't I go back in, out of the money and go ahead and purchase some more contracts. Right. And I just didn't think of it. I mean, yeah. So I just wanted to let people know that it's through practice that you gain these skills and using the signals and the charts and the process to your advantage.
The process that you're referring to as well, that I've seen in like teaching karate and teaching habitual processes and reaction, is that that's all it is. It's habitual reaction, to anything. And even that sometimes it's fearful, right? Because you look at it as, like, if you're using live money, You just bought in for, let's say if we got in on an OTM and we got in at $35 profit, that's $65 risk. Okay. And if I put 5 contracts on, I'm holding back on like $325, right? This is my risk. This is what, if it tanks, if it screws up, this is $325. If this means a tremendous amount to you, depending on the big world scenario, then you make hesitation remarks as you do these, right? You're like, ah, crap, I get in there. And now it goes OTM and it creates a process that, hey, this could be a great payday. But then what do? You go, I'm already in, should I really get in for more? Is this really going bad? Now it's starting to go against it. Is it really, how much can I depend on that 97.4% success rate? We even look at this and go, wait a minute, I'm suspect on that 94% or 97%. And so, yes, it does come to that time. Now you can buy them flipped, right? You can get $65 profit and only risk 35. But if you add more on, like with me, I added 10, right? And so what did that do? It added close to almost $1,000 risk to me, right? But how much money was I going to make? And it was pretty significant. I know it is frustrating. And this is why we do demo, right? We do demo because in the world of trading, there are 2 processes, left and right brain mentality, right? The left side is saying, it's all about the numbers, right? And the right side's going, hey, imagine what you could do with all that money. You could buy that painting set you wanted now, right? Or you could buy whatever, and you get stuck into this analytical free thinking side. It's when you go, screw it, and just get in if you're not paying attention. You do have to have both sides. You have to be sort of no brain, right? You got to get into this mentality. And how do we do that? Well, we sort of have to take away the process that, hey, it's the fear of loss, right? So we got to make it go in demo. Now, with this mentality, you cannot ever, 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 ever trade like you live in La Vida Loca, right? You can never commit to going, let me try 100 contracts, or let me try 7 standard lots in Forex. Unless you got $100,000 sitting in the account that you're ready to trade with, don't ever commit to this idea of, let me see what it looks like when I do 100 contracts. Do one contract and times it by 100 in your head, right?
You know what the worst thing would be?
What's that?
That 100 contracts won.
Yeah, exactly. Because what does that cement then? It cements this really bad habit that you think that you can go and just easily chuck 100 contracts on. You're going to spend a lot of money. And what's going to happen? Murphy's Law is going to come in and kick you right in the nuts. Excuse my language, but that's what's going to happen. Murphy's done it to me 20, 30. They did it to me on a webinar with $7,000 lost. Yeah, with a lot of people on it. And it was very embarrassing because I made some tremendous mistakes that I should have listened to myself. And even though that I won $100,000 that year in trading, I still lost. I had that one day that I had a $7,000 loss in front of 200 people. Get what I'm saying? So the idea, like what Chris is talking about, and you may not know, but you need to get in there and trade. We trade the 5-minute trading system. Why? When I train people, I tell them to go do the Trader's Mind series. Paul's done it. Thor's done it. A handful of people, a lot of people have done it. Over 10,000 people have done it. But this gets you that idea that if every 5 minutes you have an availability to do a trade, you could do up to, say, 10, 12 trades an hour. How much experience are you getting? Why? Because the 5-minute chart is the same as a 15-minute chart. The TNT system is the same on a 5-minute that it is on a 1 hour or a 2 hour system. It's the same. It's the same mentality. We just can't take as many trades on these ones as we can on this. So you want to practice? You want to practice that mentality? Do so on a 5-minute platform and see how well you can make those decisions. It's like shot putting with a 50-pound shot put, right? And it is. I hate it. I developed it, and I hate 5-minute trades. I hate them because they're so at the money, and the mentality kind of sucks you in, and you get addicted to that process. I could literally, if my wife did this to me a couple of months ago when I was building out some stuff. I'm like, you know what? let me go in and trade some 5-minute trades. And she came back like 2 hours later. She goes, you missed lunch. I was like, well, yeah, I'm trading. She goes, what are you trading? She looked, she goes, get off of that screen. She knows me. She gets me. It's tough. It's not easy. Let's see. Let's jump back and take a quick gander at the success. How are we doing? Kind of pulling away a little bit from where we were. We didn't hit our take profit on the 125. We were only in a couple bucks on that process, so I'm not too worried about the Euro JPY making us a mint. And this is something that I need to talk to you guys about as well. The premiums that are on the floor or ceiling trades are very low. So you're only going to get in a couple, $2, $3, $4, $10 here, $20 there from that process. But once you do consistently, then you can continue to add volume. But to really get to the point of making really strong money is being able to feel very strongly on coming at the middle side of that. But that's quick money, right? You want long-term consistent money. And that's where Thor is at right now within his solutions. Okay. There is and you can kind of see, you know, how much money could this come out to be? Again, he's only trading 2 contracts at that point every day, right? And when he loses like, you know, the same, almost about the same amount as he wins. He's almost sitting at an R1-to-1 factor in most cases, right? He does have some bigger losses sometimes, but not super huge. We're talking 20 bucks. We're not talking like the kitchen sink just got taken out from underneath you, right? Thanks for the take profit idea. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the idea here is to commit yourself to trading in demo, staying strong, getting consistent. This is not even, you're not even a complete month yet, Thor, in this process. Right. And I know 140 bucks doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it is when it's the first unit. So if we times this unit by 10, you're trading 20 contracts at a time. You're making 1,400 bucks a month doing it part-time. And I know you, Thor. I know that you could ramp this up. Like, you could trade a lot more, right? You could become very aggressive, but you could trade a lot more. There's a lot more opportunity for you to be able to trade.
For the demo and for this, you know, to chart this, I wanted to be real consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first couple were 1 contracts because I was getting used to, you know, the process, and I didn't want to trade too big.
Right.
But then I stepped it up to 2 consistently. Flip back to that a minute. I want to point something out. It's 71.4% success. If you were doing 71.4% success on a regular binary, that'd be about break even.
Yes, you'd be about break even.
But because I'm only taking very small losses, sometimes less than $1, that makes money at 71.4%.
Right. A question answered. Ricardo says, how can I get my spreadsheet like that? Lots of practice. No, we have, I'll have to get you access to this process where you can go and just copy and paste the code in here, and you put it into the D column when you're spreading it like this. I will have I think I do have something out there on how to set up. There is something in there how to do your journal. Look in that process to find that. I can get the codes on so you could do that, because there's codes underneath this process that, hang on one second. Whew, had to sneeze. There is process, and it's just a simple format to see when it's in profit, when it's not, and then can't make the calculations very easy. But we'll help you do that, Ricardo. And then I'll send an email out to have everybody copy and paste the code into D column.
Of course, we're using Google Sheets.
Yes, we are using Google Sheets. I don't recommend using like a Google or a spreadsheet system, you know, other than Google Sheets, because you can share it with us on the process. Good. All right. I'm basically, you know, I'm confident in these trades. We have 3 minutes left. This had to jump up 7 pips. It can do that. You know, anything's possible. We're sitting at a -$2 plus, you know, you're minus the, you know, $1 out now. So we're about -$3 on that. So that's not too bad. And again, if I chose a longer time, I got into that spread from that. And again, with spreads, you should watch your spreads and look at structure. And usually at the end part, usually in the last 15 minutes, you should do an assessment within the last 15 minutes. So if you're in for about a half an hour 40 minutes, start assessing the chart. Start looking at the chart value. All right. Euro JPY, 5 minute. Here's where we sort of got in right in here, right? As it starts to come out, you know, as we start to look, it narrows itself down to this structure here, right? And the hour is coming to an end, right? We got about 15, 20 minutes here at this level. So we could start looking at, hey, you know what? This is 5, 10, 15 minutes, you know, to the top of the hour here, and I'm hitting structure, maybe take my money. You see what that is? So if we just pin past it, maybe structure should have been set at 125.05 instead of 02, right? Because what was that done here? 01, right? So I probably should have set it to 05, but I probably put it out too much. I would have hit structure and I would have made my $9. That $9 would have been better than a $5 loss. Got what I'm saying? All right.
Hey, Max.
Yes.
Just an old adage. You never go broke taking profit.
I agree to disagree.
Okay.
And if you want
having some fun, Max.
I know. Yeah, you are right. There is an idea of scalping, but your scalp mentality has to be into the process of doing it for a reason, not just because I see green and I want to take money. And let me give you an example. And it's all about your consistency, right? You got to find the consistency value there. If your consistency can support scalping, then please scalp. But if it doesn't, then stay away from it and stay with good trades. That's all I can say. If you're doing the process for spreads, stay with the process of scalping out when you get to structure. Stay at the structure value, right? Like scalp out when you're hitting structure. Don't scalp out like halfway to structure. Look for like a little bit, where's that edge of structure? Where's that? And it's different for every pair. So you're going to have to adjust. Like for even me, I really shouldn't have done it at 02, 01. I should have done it like 02, 03, 04. And I should have been watching that spread, but because I'm talking to you guys, I'm dealing with you guys. It's something different, right? But let me show you why scalping sometimes is a good thing. I teach people to scalp all the time. Like in Trader's Mind series, I teach you to use a time variant scalp, right? You're in the first minute, you're out in the second minute, take whatever you got, right? That's a time-based scalp. But what happens if I'm in a binary and I scalp? If I'm in a binary and I buy in for say $25 profit margin, and usually it'll never go to 70% or more in a market price, right? So it'll always show like $21 if it's like really to the end of a process, 21, maybe even 20, maybe even 19, and you scalp out, right? And then you got a $1 in, $1 out. Now you're only down to $17 profit, right? Where if you let it go, you got to 25. Doesn't mean that, you know, sometimes it's not even 70%, it's like 50%. Hang on one second. Let me, oh crap, come on. Just wanted to make sure. 3, 2, 1. Okay, winner. So that was only a, what was that? A $22.75 winner on that, but it was all done here on the site. How much? 13. So we probably lost $4 or $3 on that particular one. And we made 22, so about $18 up. But that's how you use the charts to do that. Okay. I did get back to you on that, Ricardo. I don't think you've seen the email. We have to set up a screen share process through Zoom, like the system we're doing right now, to be able to help you do that. It's very simple, and we can get that all lined up. Let's see. There is, where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay, so if the average that you have, you know, that you can normally win at this point is set at $25, what is the opposite if you lose, right? If you lose, you can lose $75, right? And if you're scalping out about 50% of your profit, and you're taking about $12, you're scalping yourself out even harder, because now you go from a 3-to-1 risk, right, to what? A 6-to-1 risk. See what I'm saying? So you could, it all depends on what asset you're using to scalp out on. If you see the money and you got news coming up and you're in a binary and you're not looking at the numbers, you shouldn't be scalping out binaries. You should be waiting for them to get to the end. Unless you're doing choke ups or you're doing something that is outside the daily. You definitely shouldn't be choking up a daily signal at all. you know, unless you got into it like an OTM. Here's the thing. I look for at least $25 profit margin per trade. And after fees, it's about 23 bucks profit per contract. Okay. So if that's the case and I get into an OTM and say I get on for 40 bucks, here's another good way to look at the scalp is that if I got into an OTM for $45 profit and it gets to, and let's say I'm in for, you know, whatever, I'm into one trade, I'm only into one contract, I'm in one contract here, and it gets to 23 bucks or 25 bucks profit, I can make that decision, right? Why? Because I've stuck to my guns of my 3-to-1, right? I've risked 75 and I got my money. I'm staying with my money. But this is also fire when the iron's hot, right? It only needs to move a little bit for it to really start making money from that process. Ricardo, we'll set up another email and get on board with getting a system on. We got to work on getting your bot on. Because let me show you any questions so far on any of this stuff. We're going to probably call it here. I think this is a pretty good success. Does everybody agree with that? This is a pretty good success of a webinar and live trades.
Yeah, definitely.
That's good, Max.
Good. All right. So let's do this. Let me end by showing you just the, you know, while all this is happening, while you're learning to trade, while you're learning to do all of this stuff, you haven't seen an ATM on your dailies. Refresh your page, your whole sheet there. You should see an ATM tab in there. You may be caching as well. All right, but let me show you real quickly. Let me pull my screen up here. I'll get it there in 1 second. I know you guys are still seeing a white screen. New share, boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Here's a step bot. This is from yesterday and today. Already in. Today we're about $1.97 for today. And this is the standard small account that we're on. It is a demo account. This is always going to run on a demo. You'd be copying this process. We did very, very well for the month so far. We're only about halfway through the month, and it's doing extremely well on the process. I am very excited because this was a tough, February is a tough month because you just come after growth, you just come after the week. So it had an NFP in the short term of the first part of the month. So you usually get hit pretty strong. The Oneida account doing well as well. It's staying strong, never hit an FIFO, didn't have any alerts, never got close to leverage. I think we got to 30% leveraged at one time instead of the normal 10 to 5% that's on the other stuff. Our live account proof as well, sitting at the same as our other account, and we're doing this for a reason. Mr. Gary allows us to show this. This is his live account. This is a $2,000 account. Asked him to keep it like that until for every 1,000 to add another micro lot. And he has another account. He has a sub account. This is a sub account on his main account for Traders Way. He has another account that has a lot of money in it, and he will be looking at doing that, I'm pretty sure. But for this, we just wanted to show you what it looked like. What does it look like if a company does like an $8,000 account? What does it look like when you have an $8,000 amount in there per day, and you're sitting at like 7, 8 contracts or 7, 8 micro lots at that point? It looks like this, okay? $20, $30, $40 a day. And and again, it doesn't seem like it's a lot of money, but as you compound and you get 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, you're doing several $100s a day in trades. This is you not doing anything except once a week going and making sure the damn thing's on, right? So if you're a Nadex person and you're watching this, if you're a free member and you're watching this and you're like, how can I get involved in this? What should I get? And I'm going to tell you this, and it's not about upgrading you. This is about you taking all of the advantage of what we have. The 147 a month for your Nadex side, you're going to learn stuff. You're going to be able to get in. You're going to trade Nadex. You're going to do that stuff. But you need something that's successful. You need something that's dependable and consistent. Remember, consistency is the key, right? Opens up all those doors. Is this consistent? That's why we call it the step bot. It's never had a step down. It's never had a step down. Do you understand? And this one has only been going on since December 5th. This is the same one that we've had going on since May 18th or May 2018. And the same one that was also in a demo account since April of 2017. So this works. This process works. And we backtested 17 years and never had a step down. That's why it's called the step bot. It's always going up. Understand? So as you're learning Nadex, as you're learning trading Forex, as you're learning to manually trade, have something in that's incrementally crawling up that chain every single day. And if you're here for a year, this is just straight out of the box, right? This is if I went back into the member portal or member system for Gary again, this is his first, he's in since January 22nd, not even a full month yet. Okay. And he's made 67 bucks. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, but does this sort of offset your fees for Dex so far? And by the time things are finished for this month, easily could set this up to be what makes the money for Dex every month. But again, this is considered an expense for Dex. It's not considered an asset return or return on investment. You're learning. How much can you put to a value to school or to the tools in your toolbox? You know, if your tools sit there for a week and you don't do anything with them, then that's up to you. But if you're in using them every day, how much does that value compound over a period? You know, if it gets you to that experience to be able to trade at this level. And I used to joke with my friend when I was building a system for him on a website, because this is not the only website system I built. And he goes, how much money did you make last year? And I was like, and I told him, and he goes, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money. I was like, yeah, but the first 9 months of that year, I made everything in the last 3 months of the year, right? So the first 9 months, I look like a broke jerk, right? Because it's like, how much money did you make this month? Zero. How much money did you make the following month? Zero. But on that 9 month, I made $75,000. Hello, you know, so that sort of incorporates the rest of the time. How long does it take you to get to that point? Are you willing to wait that balance out to make it all balance out? And that's the real question here. How much investment are you willing to do in you as well as us?
All right. Max.
Yeah.
If I can suggest, just go to the Dex Fx Markets and put in a polite little plug. If you think you have time.
That's where I was headed.
Okay.
So as Chris stated, if we jump over to, that's the Dex check. Oh, here it is. Dex Fx Markets. The first place you want to go to is pricing. Okay. If you're a free member here, you just go right over to, you know, the pricing. You can look at step bot results and all that kind of stuff. There's a free membership that you can come on. You can kind of have a look around. But listen, this is only going to get you so far. It's not just going to get you into a webinar. You're not going to have the chat room. You're not going to have all the other stuff that everything has. And like I was saying before, if you're on board and you're trading Nadex, you could pay the 147. You got a great opportunity to, and that's a really good price. But if you're going to do the whole thing, 247 for everything instead of 300 bucks. We're knocking like 50 bucks off for that process to be that. How long would it take you to get back? We don't consider this ROI. So I'm not going to say, you know, when can you start making $247 a month to break even? I don't consider it a break even. I consider this that if in a year I've paid, say, I don't know, 3,600 bucks for fees on that time, how much money have I made in learning how to trade and doing this? You know, I made tens of thousands and thousands of dollars learning how to trade. I have people that are on board that literally make $5,000 to $6,000 a month because they have the balance and they've learned how to do that. But the problem that most people get when they first start is, how do I compensate myself for this time? You don't try to. I'll be honest with you. You just get in and buy in. You can consider it an expense like you would gas in your car. Okay. And I know that sounds kind of lame in some facets, but it's the truth. And the moment you start doing that, you're in the right mindset to be able to trade and to trade for your longevity. That's what you're really looking for, not to be able to trade for a couple of weeks and make a whole bunch of money that you never have to work again, because that doesn't exist. There's no such thing. All right. I want to thank everybody for showing up today and being a part of our webinar. I'm Max Farrell. This is DexFXMarkets.com and Trading with Max. We'll be doing some revamping of our webinar system and timing a little bit. We're trying to keep this 11 o'clock hour for the people that are on the West Coast as well, and the people that are overseas, like Paul, who can still be here and add his 10 cents into the process every once in a while when I'm not
Thank you, Max. Yeah.
His earballs off. All right. All right, guys. You guys take care. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, trade well.